fucking kidding me?
There we are.
So
Charlie forgot to hit the button.
I never hit the button. You guys missed it. We like went through the whole.
Thank you, love of my life, Donna Morton, for sending me a text asking,
Oh
"Hey, is the show late?"
my God.
Oh, it's one of those days, Charlie.
You guys just don't even understand. It is 6:04. The show I thought was running for the last 6 minutes. Like I came in with this whole brilliant thing. Hey, what trucking company pays the most for owner operators? We've got thoughts and opinions right after this. And then we played our commercial and the countdown and all of that stuff. And oh my God, I'm going to scroll back through the text. Oh, sweet Lord. I give up. Jeff, I quit. Told you we shouldn't have done the show today. My brain is gone.
Yes, Hamey, you were first today.
Haney
we
was
mentioned
first.
that. We
Yeah.
mentioned that a few minutes ago. You didn't see it because we did not push the right button.
I was doing the show for Jeff. You guys missed it because I even played with the screens. I'm like, look, because we were on the wrong sides. I'm like, look, Jeff and I don't like each other. Wait, now we're closer. Now we do. And then James Vaughn was here. My God, I didn't even know. I'm broken. Clearly, I'm broken. Yeah. Oh my God, Jeff. I failed.
Yeah.
I failed. My mistake. Holy crap. Craig Hutchinson's here. Good Lord. I don't even know what to say anymore. Matt Nisson's in Memphis. I just went through all this. I feel like I'm restating myself, but I clearly none of you heard this because we weren't even live.
Matt says he'll give you a hug.
I'm going to need it. Driving with Bob is in Memphis getting some work done. There he is. He's got to get. Oh, and I was like, oh, why has he got to get approval? And then we found out he's on MRP. So yeah, it does require approval to get work done because of MRP.
Technically, yes, but I've noticed that a lot of terminals aren't. They're just doing it anyway. I guess Memphis maybe they're having a day today. I don't know.
Oh, and then I said, oh, Memphis. I've got something to say about Memphis because I've got some things to say. We've got some
which might have something to do with why Charlie forgot to push the button.
That amongst other things, because today is being a day. I'm just saying. Look, okay, Memphis thing. They charged me for right-hand fender major repair 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, hey, guys, I've never been in the Memphis shop. And I definitely have never had fender repair done because I didn't hit anything with my truck.
And they're like, oh,
right. They're like, oh, our bad. Let's credit that. So they put a credit on that settlement. And instead of putting it back on the settlement, they actually put it in the maintenance account, which, yes, I get it. It's my money. But it should have been credited to the settlement, not to the maintenance account. And it was just a whole messed up thing. Nevertheless, it's zeroed out. Then this week, I get hit for the same RO again. And now my settlement is all kinds of wonky because then they pulled $450.41 out of my maintenance account to pay for this RO that's not mine, that they said they voided on the 9th.
Yeah, they couldn't even tell that it was the wrong truck. They know that.
So then I'm like having to explain to at least 2 vice presidents today. I've had to explain that WD RO on my settlement means it's coming out of it's a withdrawal coming from my maintenance account. That's not a credit just because I was told, hey, you see the little minus sign next to the dollar amount? That means it's a credit. I'm like, no, that means it's being withdrawn from my maintenance account. Because I don't know, I kind of understand some of these things. Now, one VP, I don't expect them to understand it. That is the shop VP, Tim Burks. And I talked about it and I explained to him. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. He's like, man, I really wish I was more up on this. I'm like, well, now you are. But he was under that impression because Brett told him that. That's a credit. Don't worry about it. It's fine. No, you're taking my money. And I asked him, I said, how would you feel if someone said, hey, we did work to your vehicle, even though we didn't have your vehicle, and we pulled it right out of your bank account. We never asked you for it. We just did it. I'm pretty sure they'd be raising hell. And so I think I've been very calm about this, but today has been a day, and my settlement looks there is so many 450.41 notes on my settlement right now, on my pending settlement. It's ridiculous. And it's very hard to understand, and it confused me. And I'm good with this number stuff. I mean, I'm just saying. Anyhow, good Lord. I apologize. I'm a bit of a rant there. Let's see.
So we got a bunch of comments. I haven't gone through them.
I'm catching up right now.
Having my own kind of day today.
Yeah.
The eclipse was on Saturday. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe my mind is just like, oh.
These guys, James Vaughn, Matt, you guys are late. No, we did the show. You just weren't here. We were doing it. Whatever you say. Life on 18 Wheels. Good to see you, buddy. John C. Hey, everyone. Mike Henderson. Howdy, guys. Mike Ford said, I think Mike Ford said something about 2 months and he's out retiring. Man, that's exciting.
Mike, is he that close?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Good job, man.
Right.
Now what you need to do is still hang out with us and tell other guys how you did that. Right, Charlie?
Right.
Yeah. Because that's what we're all about. We all want to get to that point.
John C. Wait. I got to go back to Bob. I'll have them put it on your bill, Charlie. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that because it was so much fun today.
Well, if it's an MRP though, you're only gonna get hit by 20%, and you might not even notice that because you're Mr. Swift getting loads up the yin yang.
Right. Good God, I've been off all week. You guys just don't even understand. This week has been.
How'd your IMAX experience go?
Oh, so the IMAX experience was fun. I woke up the last few minutes of it, staring at a monitor, looking at the insides of myself. I should. Where are the pictures? I could put them up for
you. Have pictures?
Right now. Oh yeah, I've got 9 amazing pictures. Apparently the doctor that was running the camera came and talked to me after. He's like, hey, by the way, you're a polyp farmer. If any of you know what that is, it's an amazing thing to me. Apparently I am a prolific grower of polyps. For those of you who had this stuff done, a polyp or haven't had this stuff done, a polyp is kind of like a small growth somewhere in your digestive tract, your intestine, your colon, all that parts, right?
They cut them out.
Yeah, they cut them out. They put it, and that was cool. Okay, so that was cool. I woke up and I saw, they're like, oh, here's a polyp. And they said how big it is. And I don't remember what the numbers were. And it was like 3, 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters, things like that. Anyhow, and I am looking at the camera. I'm like, oh, that is fascinating. Oh my God, that's my insides. And I see what you're talking about. And they're like, sir, can you please not talk? I'm like, sure, I won't talk anymore. But this is fascinating, man. This is so cool. And they're like, sir, please stop talking. I'm like, all right, I won't talk anymore. They're like, sir, please stop talking. I'm like, okay, I won't talk anymore. I don't know what is going on. And they're like, sir, please stop talking. I'm like, clearly they don't understand. I have to have the last word. I mean, it's my junk up there in the screen. I think I'm the star of the show. And then they finally caught on and they stopped talking. And you know what? So did I. And then I was like, all of a sudden there was this done. I was like, what? I didn't get a hug. No one would make eye contact with me. It was weird. I wasn't even sure how to take it. And then 10 minutes later, I was literally walking out the front door of the place, happy as a clam. But apparently I had 9 polyps, whatever that means. Polyps can turn into cancer later if they're left unchecked. They could be cancers, although the doctor did say he's like, I've been doing this long enough. I got a pretty good eye at this. And he's like, I'm fairly certain you got no cancer right now. So that's a good thing. Woo! Yay! Wait, applause. And so yeah, that's a good thing. But I have an appointment on the 3rd for the follow-up for that, and they're gonna like tell me whether or not I actually have cancer or whatever. And then yeah, so later. Yeah, that one. So John, oops, I clicked on it again because I'm on fire. Whatever, Jeff. John C. So I heard that with the camera, our trucks can now be set cruise control 70, pedal speed 72. Well, okay, so that was a thing. And my understanding was that was going to go away. Whether or not it has, I don't know. I mean, look, there's company trucks out there running 70 on the pedal right now because they don't ever turn them down like they said they were going to. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what I should say there. James Vaughn, thank you. So no ass cancer. That is eloquently said, sir. I appreciate your amazing words
So
there.
going back to John C's question, it's in your contract, the speed policy, and it does stipulate if you have a camera, if you don't have a camera, what the speeds, governing speeds of the truck are, and it's been that way for a while, a couple of years at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I never go over about 65 anyway, so no camera's not going to affect me at all.
What trucking company pays the most for owner operators? God, I can't believe I blew the whole opening of the show.
Well, you know,
But see,
it was good practice.
rather than that is a very common Google search term, by the way. And we're of the opinion that there are things you should consider when choosing a carrier. And my argument might be is what trucking company pays the most for owner operators? Is that the question you should be asking? Because I'm of the opinion, I think Jeff might back me up on this, that it's not what they're paying, it's what you're keeping.
Yep.
So, I mean, they maybe they pay $5 a mile. That sounds great up front. What are they charging you for?
Right. A lot of carriers, they nickel and dime you. You know, you remember, Charlie, when Sierra England was really into the owner
Oh,
operator thing. They
good
don't do
God.
owner operators anymore. But they had a pretty impressive like front end pay package. But if you knew anybody that leased on with them and leased one of their trucks, boy, you think that you're in the lurch at Swift. You have no idea. Those guys got knocked for everything. Their fixed cost every week was some insane amount, like $1,300 a week
Oh, and
on
their
a used
truck
truck.
payment was a variable payment based on how
Right.
many
They
miles
tried
you
that
ran
for a
that
while.
week. Yeah, that was ridiculous. God.
So they no longer have owner operators because they had a similar lawsuit to Swift, and instead of trying to fix it like Swift did, they just decided to get out of that game altogether.
Pay-wise, England wasn't
So
bad if you owned your truck outright.
right, yeah, I met a guy early on in my career that was getting ready to retire. And he's like, "Hey, you could buy my truck for 18 grand, and then you don't have a payment, and as long as you don't have a payment, England's great."
Right? Because they did. They had an impressive pay package. The accessorial stuff was pretty good, but if you were on a lease payment to them, holy crap, man.
Yeah, they were paying. I want to say, buddy of mine went because they had that weird step up lease where you had to take a used truck for like the first 9 months,
Right.
and if you made it, quote unquote, they would get you a new truck. But I think he had a 3.5-year-old Peterbilt that was $850 a week. That was just the payment on that truck. And
Wow.
it was not a truck that he was going to keep. It was a truck so he could prove himself that he could run a business
Right.
and then get a decent truck after. So it was a weird thing, man. That was like I always used to tell people back then that England was the only company that you would hear me talk bad about, and it had everything to do with that lease program.
Yeah.
If you're a company driver for them, fine, but getting into that lease purchase of theirs, man, they had it set up to where literally you had to train to make your payments,
Right.
basically. So
It was brutal.
but they don't do that anymore. They've cleaned up their act a bit, and they're not in that game. But yeah, so when you're choosing a carrier, guys, don't just look at the front end. Here's what would they pay. I mean, even like when you look at carriers that are on a percentage, right? How much of the line haul do they take? There's carriers out there that take anywhere from 60% on down to, I think the lowest I've heard is about 10%, Charlie.
Yeah.
There's some 90% contracts out there. They're rare, and you kind of have to know someone to get them sometimes. Excuse me. Dang it. So what else do you think we ought to look at, guys? Because you got, how are you going to get a truck matters, right? Right now with the market the way it is, guys that own their equipment are doing better than guys that don't. And that's not just at Swift, guys. That's everywhere.
Right.
Because, if you were to go out and buy a brand new truck, we just had a guy that tried to do that. Well, didn't try. He was curious on should he lease another truck or buy one from the dealership.
Right.
And it turned out that Swift's lease, by the time he was done paying it off, including the balloon payment, what was it, like $10,000-$15,000 less
Yeah.
than going to the dealership?
The dealer said that with their financing options, they couldn't match Swift's deal.
Right. And the price, the sticker price of the truck was lower, but by the time you got done paying all the interest and loan servicing fees, all
Right.
that stuff, they could not match what Swift was doing at the dealership. So how you get your truck is important.
What is the carrier going to charge you for?
Yeah.
I mean, are they charging you scales or tolls, lumper fees, reefer fuel? I mean, there's all of these things that, okay, yeah, they're paying 90%. You know why they're paying 90%? Because maybe all the charges are on you.
Yep.
Are you paying for permits and plates? These are all things that nobody thinks about. They're just like, they simply look at that initial question. What trucking company pays the most owner operators? Well, there's some out there that pay amazing, I'm sure. But when I've talked to some of those people and talked about their bottom line, they were making what I make or less than what I make.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about with my current lease payments, less than I make.
Right.
And that's saying something. I mean, it really is. There's just so much involved with it. And so many people simply look at that one thing. What is that? What are they going to pay me to run miles? What are they paying me for the load? But they're not looking at what they're being charged. Or what if they, I don't know, run specialized freight? How do you get into that? How do you pick the carrier you want to go to? I mean, how do you get into something you want to get into? Jeff and I talk about this all the time. Well, if I want to run, let's say I wanted to run over dimensional. One of the things that I had brought up, and I had heard other people say it, that's one of those fields where you kind of got to know people or find a company that's willing to train you. Me personally, like, okay, here's a great example. I wanted to learn how to process my own chickens from live chicken to freezer, right? Had no idea how to do it. So I put out a little community thing and said, hey, I will give you chickens if you teach me how to process them. You could do something like that in trucking. Hey, man, I'll come work for you for a few weeks or a month or whatever for next to nothing. If you get me the training I need to learn how to run OD freight.
Well, Kevin Rutherford actually did that years ago.
Right. Isn't that how he learned how to?
That's how he learned the step deck over dimensional. Right. He actually went and found a guy and said, I'll work for you for free for 3 months if you teach me this, how to do this.
Right.
And it came with, at the end, contacts for contracts and everything. So, we kind of get into a little bit of that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. What are you willing to do to go to that next step that you want to go to? Right. If you had the chance to work with, and I know this is going to piss off half my audience, but if you had a chance to work with Elon Musk for a year, but he wasn't going to pay you a dime, would you do it?
I might. I'm pretty
sure. Just to learn from him and watch what he does on a daily basis for a year.
Family's going to live in a TV box out in the property, but I think I'm jumping on that.
There's people out here in the world that will absolutely take you on as an apprentice for these specialized type jobs. So if you want to do that, look for those opportunities. There's actually a guy, and we're thinking about kind of mirroring his business model here at Swift, at Landstar, that what he does is he'll make you an employee of his in his small fleet for a year. And at the end of that year, he'll sell you that truck. And during that year, he helps you make all the contacts that you need to make to do well at Landstar, teaches you how to negotiate with their brokers,
right?
Teaches you this, teaches you that. But that whole year, you work for him on a W-2, And then at the end, he'll sell you the truck and you've got a Landstar contract
Right.
and you've been set up for success.
Right.
I mean, why not? Look for those opportunities, guys. One of the things I wanted to bring up, Charlie, was, I'm working on this course thing that is uncomfortable for me.
Right.
But one of my lessons is on how you pick a carrier. And you got to start with what's your long-term goal? What do you want to be doing in 5-6 years?
Right.
Do you want to be just hauling van freight like we do at Swift or Reefer? You want to be doing military loads? I actually knew a guy when I was in the service. Him and his brother both retired out of Fort Lewis. Went and got some trucks. They were 88 mics, which is truck driver, by the way, guys. They were 88 mics in the Army, 20 years. And you know what they did? They hauled ammunition from Fort Lewis to get the Yakima Firing Center. That's all they did for a living.
Right. And probably made a killing.
They made a killing. Another guy I met years ago hauled small boats for the Navy from San Diego to Virginia. He did one trip a month and made a really, really nice living doing that. But you know how he got that? He was in the Navy. He was a quartermaster in the Navy.
Yeah. Those connections.
Connections, man. You want to do something, go learn from people that are doing it. Get to know them. Build a relationship. And then as the relationship comes to fruition, just ask them, hey, man, I really dig what you're doing. Can you teach me how to do that?
Right.
If they say no, what have you lost?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'd ask several people over and over. Hell, I'd ask the same one a couple times. I ain't gonna lie. How about now, man? Want some free labor? I'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, like you said,
So Blackbeard DOD, the only DOD I've ever done, and this is
he said overdimensional.
Oh, overdimensional. Never mind then. I've never done that. But DOD stuff, because we've been looking into that a little bit. I have delivered to several Air Force bases with office furniture because that's all that gets delivered to Air Force bases. But yeah, so there are carriers, by the way, and we'll get as we continue our little journey, learning more stuff for you guys. We'll start naming carriers as we go, but we're learning about carriers that do Department of Defense loads, and they pay really well. But there's rules and things you got to know.
Right.
There's certifications you've got to get. And so what we're going to start doing is telling you guys, okay, here's what you need to do before you go to that carrier. You need this, this, and this. And then you tell them, I want to do DOD. And get that extra pay for that. And they'll be like, really? You already got the certifications. Come on in. So.
Yeah, Craig used to have an amazing deal doing DOD stuff to Alaska. And then the company got bought out and sold off, and that fizzled away. But wow. I remember talking to Craig about it, and he was killing that. And he's running to Alaska. Come on, man. That would be fun for at least a year. It's one of those things I wanted to do, but I can't ever get it. Hell, I just take the ferry. Let's go.
There you go.
It pays right. Oh man. Swift have DOD. They pull some stuff.
They have AFIS.
Right. There you go.
They offer AFIS, which requires a TWIC card nowadays, from what I hear.
Oh, there you go. That's fun. That makes total sense. I don't even understand that.
Yeah. Hey, so you got, by the way, guys, so if you want to try and put more feathers in your cap, by the way, for things that you're planning on down the road, and you're at Swift, which most of our members right now are, Swift will still pay for your hazmat. And here's the thing. When you go get your background check for your hazmat, go ahead and stroke a check yourself for the extra, I think it's like $80 or something like that, to get your TWIC card at the same time. Then you got both. And, if you ever decide, hey, I want to go do this thing, look at that. You've already got hazmat and a TWIC card. You're good for a lot of stuff that guys without it aren't.
Right.
running that port freight, running hazmat. Those are higher dollar opportunities out there. Start looking at that stuff. It's $100 for Twick now. Oh wow! I guess I haven't looked at it in a few years.
Oh, they're arguing now. Here we go.
No, freaking. So when I looked at it last was probably 5 years ago, Charlie. It was one of those times when I was like, "Screw this! I'm going to Landstar."
Right.
You have to have hazmat to go to Landstar. By the way, and I got looking into it, and it wasn't that much more to get the Twick on top of it, which gave you another thing. Anyway, so it was different for the initial background check, and then every year or two you had to go in and do it again, and it was a lesser cost.
Right.
After the initial.
Yeah, Rosie and I had our Twick card, and I couldn't tell you what the hell we paid for it. We had hazmat and Twick, and honestly, we let them both go because we just weren't. There just wasn't enough. And it was funny is the hazmat stuff that Swift that we were typically pulling for hazmat was like Bic lighters.
What?
Bic lighters.
Oh.
A load of Bic lighters. We did that several times. It was funny.
Used to be those interstate battery loads that were hazmat, but not hazmat.
Those two, yeah. Oh my God.
Going over the 70, but you couldn't go through the tunnel, so you had to go up through what was it, Loveland Pass or whatever.
John Green said, Twick guard's easy. I got one. Matt said he did it last year doing dry van in Florida at the port office. There you go. He said it may have changed. So $175, whatever. 100 or $75. I should break up those words. If it's under 200, I say it's a win.
Right. And the reason why I say to do it that way is because the background check now is done at the same office for both of them.
Yeah, and you can just get them done at one time.
And you're getting them all done at one time. It costs less as a package deal.
There you go. Paint out of Front Royal where hazmat loads. And Nick said it also depends on your state too. I guess that's for the hazmat side of it. Yeah. The Twix should be the same everywhere because that's a federal deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. Mike Anderson, Loveland Pass is a nightmare. Good God.
Last time I went over that was in the wintertime too. That sucked.
Life on 18 Wheels says, I let my hazmat go when I got to Swift. Kind of regret not renewing it. You know what? I can tell you that I don't regret it.
It depends on what your goals are, Charlie.
Yeah. I agree.
If you came to Swift and you had hazmat, and you came to Swift for the same reason, like a lot of guys do, that the spot market sucks right now, right. So they're wanting that steady income. Probably wise to keep the hazmat for when you go back out on your own.
Right.
I'm thinking.
Oh, look, Craig with a little bit of wisdom here. Twick works great when flying too to bypass the long lines. I did not ever think of that.
No, neither did I.
Who'd have known? Who'd have thunk?
I think you have to have something like that if you're from Oregon because they don't have a real ID, which is weird given the. Anyway, I won't go into that.
Politics, not this week, sir. Victor. What's up, guys from Texas? He said.
Yeah, I'm heading down to Texas later this week.
That's Victor.
Victor.
B. Labor. Leyba. That's what my mother-in-law used to say. And B, like Victor. It's so much fun to listen to her. I miss her so bad. I can't even stop. My bad. Oh, Mike Ford said, I let mine go because I sat 2 days at a rest area waiting for a repower. Good God. That would suck. Oh. You got a repower hazmat load and you're like, oh man, there's nobody on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That would suck. I didn't even think about that.
Well, I saw Brett did a live thing last week.
Yeah.
And
that was interesting.
He was asked about hazmat and he kind of stammered a little bit about it. He's like, honestly, we don't have much of it, but that is an area of business that he thinks that would be something we should get into more.
Right.
But it's kind of a weird thing, Charlie, because I've seen them do the call for, hey, we want everybody to get hazmat. We're paying for it now. And
right.
At one point, they even had the fingerprint people at the terminals doing fingerprints and everything. And then it's like, okay, well, but where's the hazmat loads?
Right. Like Mike Henderson said right here. I let my hazmat go when they stopped forcing students to have hazmat. As a mentor, it was pointless having one.
Yep.
You know, I utilized mine mostly when I was solo in between students, like when I was taking my break or something like that. And like I said, the few loads Rosie and I did were big lighters or batteries. And it was just like, it's not a big deal. And I mean, there were so few and far between. They were able to get me out of a couple really tight markets a couple times. They're like, we have no freight right now. But you got a hazmat. Hang on. I got one for you. I got no one else in the area. Here, have this. So I mean, there is that. It does open you up to slightly more freight. It just depends on whether or not they're booking any hazmat freight right now. Who knows? I honestly don't know because I'm so out of that loop. It's crazy. Oh.
So Charlie, I feel like I need to tell people what we learned from Jerry today.
Okay.
So it hasn't come up in the chat. I'm pretty sure one of you will bring it up later in the show anyway. So we're just going to do it now. Load board update. So we are getting closer to them releasing the load board to the wild. The next round of testing starts tomorrow. And this is the final test. And there's something you guys all need to understand and know. If you take a load off the load board, there are no empty miles. It's loaded miles only. And we're not going to get into an argument about it. I'm just letting you know because Charlie will argue for the rest of the show on this one. Understandably so.
That was part of my being riled up right before the show. Sorry.
Right. We were kind of arguing with people about that already. So
not arguing. We're just stating the obvious in our case.
Oh, I was. You weren't on the phone call.
Right. Nobody was calling me. They knew better.
Yeah. So I talked to Jerry at length about it, and it is what it is. There's not going to be any empty miles on that load board. If you take something off the board, it's loaded miles only. So just be aware of that. And I'm trying to stem the tide by letting you guys know right now, because I know, Charlie, you know too, people are going to say contract.
Right.
And their lawyers already have an answer to that. I'm just going to let you know that right now.
Yeah,
their lawyers already have an answer to that I do not agree with.
I'm on the record. Came to that, yeah.
I'm on the record today at 4:37 p.m. Mountain Time on 10/17/2023 that I disagree with Swift lawyers on this.
Yep.
I'm just putting it out there. So don't shoot the messenger here, guys, on this one. But we are getting closer. This is the final test. They're going to test the rest of the plugins for it this week and start adding people next week.
And we have a meeting tomorrow, so I'll let you know what we hear from that if we can.
Life on 18 wheels, no, it's contract rate, which is ergo our problem with the no deadhead. I think that there needs to be, if they're going to go that route, they need to have some sort of.
Life on 18 Wheels asked, are they going to pay more since they won't offer deadhead pay? Sorry, just need to get that out there.
Yeah, no, they're not. Yeah. So there's some history behind that I'm not sure that we can get into. But no, it's the regular OTR contract pay, and it's just going to be which division is it, Charlie?
006 solo OTR freight or 005, excuse me.
So not ERF, not teams, none of that. But what it can do for you guys that are teams, I don't know, Charlie. You guys are a team and you got access to it.
Yeah, very rarely we can find some stuff.
Could it get you out of an area into an area of team freight?
Yes.
So it might be useful there. Yeah, Nicholas, that's the argument that Swift is making. Nicholas says if you pick your own freight off the DAP board, you don't get deadhead either. But there's also an all-in rate, Nicholas, and that's my argument with Swift. It's not a mileage contract.
And there's negotiation that can be done.
Every time you take something off of the DAP board or truckstop.com or even the Amazon or even if you're doing Swift Logistics, you have your own numbers and you're doing Swift Logistics. every single load is a contract, right? It's not like our contract where, hey, this has been my contract for 17 years. No, every single load that you take off of other load boards, that is a contract in and of itself. I'm going to disagree with the Blackbeard a little bit. The load board is BS then, and you're just going to have to see it in action to understand why I think that. It has allowed me to not be stuck somewhere, if that makes sense.
Right.
If nothing else, well, so let's say you're sitting in Phoenix and there's no freight, like at all, which is happening a lot right now. And the planners say, hey, we want to reposition you to Ontario, California. I can get on the load board and look. Is there even any freight there?
Right.
I don't have to take their word for it. I don't have to take their word for it. I can look. You remember, guys, when the load board first went live for Reels for the test, and this was right when planners were telling people, hey, there's no freight, and people were like, oh, I know they're lying to me. Well, I was getting out there on the load board and saying, no, they're not. There's no freight in your area, dude. So yeah. So yeah, that is the update right now. We're in the final phases of testing. So who knows? I'm not going to put a date on it because my name's not Brett Stewart.
Right.
But it is looking pretty good. Maybe first quarter of 2024. We are in 2023, right? I forget.
Right.
That it might be at live for all everybody that qualifies for it. That's a bad way of saying it.
Right. It's,
but you know what I mean? Everybody that can use it. There's not going to be reefer freight on there. ERF. So you guys know about my test with being on the Eastern Regional, and it pays a little bit more. But gosh, those load board loads. I was also testing the load board at the same time, and
yeah.
I could not do both. I had to choose. And because I live in Utah, I just, when they came to me and said, hey, dude, choose. I said, okay, OTR. It was really not doable to do both.
Even Mike Ford said that the load board got him out of Lubbock where people were sitting for 4 days,
Right.
So I mean, it does have a place. Don't get me wrong. I just think that there's some contractual issues that they're going to have to sort out, hopefully very quickly, because I think it's going to get ugly if they don't. There should be an addendum. I've said that openly to them. Jeff has said that, because our contract states that we get paid empty dispatch miles and loaded dispatch miles at a rate. And they can put the stipulation on there and you have to sign an addendum. Someone who doesn't sign the addendum gets to say, oh, my contract says that, I'm supposed to get paid these deadhead miles.
Or at least a checkbox when you accept a load or something.
Right.
Anything.
Something. An acknowledgement, a legal acknowledgement. Otherwise they're opening themselves up to litigation, in my opinion. So, who am I, just a big dumb trucker?
So getting back to our topic for today, Charlie, that is a thing to consider.
Right.
What kind of dispatch is there at these carriers? Do you want the standard SWIFT procedure of, hey, I'm going to sit in my truck and play Call of Duty until my Zonar goes off?
Right.
Is that the way you want to run? Or do you want to go out and get your own numbers and hustle it on the DAT board? Calling and emailing and sending DMs.
40 different load boards and
all that. Those are the two extremes, really, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
And then there's everything in between.
Right.
You got better examples. JB Hunt 360. You can go over there and do power only. You got Landstar. That's every time I mention Landstar, people are like, oh, double brokering and this and that.
Right.
But it's a legitimate business model. You've got to figure out what's going to meet your goals best.
Excuse me.
Charlie and I were talking about this earlier today, and so if you're someone, and you got to be honest with yourself on this. I don't know most of you well enough to say, hey, Sean, dude, type of thing. But you got to be honest with yourself. Are you in a position to go stroke a check for a truck? Are you in a position to go to a bank and get a loan for a truck? Or do you need to do a lease purchase?
Are you adult enough or want to adult enough to go out and hustle freight and negotiate? Do you have any sort of negotiation skills? Have you taken any sort of training? I mean, there's so many things. There's so much education and so many factors that you have to factor into your decision, which, let's be honest, a lot of people don't take the time to factor any of these things in.
Right.
They look at what trucking company pays the most for owner operators, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, they don't consider those things.
Well, you know, by the time you get into, like, Landstar does over-dimensional step deck, the big cat, you know, pieces of equipment, all that stuff, right?
Right.
That's a good one to look at, because when you're doing that sort of stuff, does it pay sometimes $7-8 a mile?
Right.
Yep, it does. But then you got to pay for your permits. And if it's a big enough load, you're talking about permits in every freaking county that you go through.
Escorts.
You got to pay for escorts. You can
Some
only
states
drive
require
certain
you to
times.
pay law enforcement to escort you.
Right. Sometimes there's regulations in a jurisdiction that says, oh, you can only drive through our jurisdiction between 10 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon.
Right.
You got to know all that. Now, it will pay. Absolutely, it'll pay. But you got to decide, do you want to learn all that?
Right. And how much do those permits cost?
Right.
What does the escort cost?
You know, when I was talking to that dude about the small boats that he was doing, that's what he was doing. He was in the Petro in Ontario, California. This was back in about 2007. And that's what he was doing, was arranging his permits to get from San Diego to Virginia with a Navy patrol boat on his trailer.
Right.
And it took him an average of about 3 days to arrange all that every time he picked something up.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's changed. It could have. That was a long time ago. You know, that was over a decade ago. It could have changed a little bit, but he was saying that he had to do this with every load. He couldn't put anything on autopilot.
Right.
Because there's subtle differences in how the load sits. The weight of the boat he was hauling might be a little different. This, that, you know, all these things. And I'm like, dude, I hope it's worth it. And he's like, well, you know, my 2 sons, they run my pilot cars, and we all make 6 figures every year in the bank account. So yeah, it's worth it. I'm like, okay. And here's the teller, Charlie, when you're talking to these people at what we used to call the liar's canner. Remember?
Right.
I asked him, well, how do I get into that? And he said, son, if I told you that, then I'd have more competition. You got to figure this shit out on your own.
Right. Hey, and that's legit right there. Hey, how about I come work for you for a couple months?
Yeah, I wasn't that smart back then.
But you know what I mean, right? I mean, that's one. Well, hey, maybe we can negotiate something here. I don't know. You know, and like a Life on 18 Wheel said, going back to the Landstar thing, Landstar is what you make of it. They literally don't hold your hand there. So taking that into consideration, how much hand holding do you need? And how much is offered at the different carriers you're looking at? You know, Jeff and I, he had mentioned earlier, you know, we're learning a lot more about a bunch of other carriers. And one of the things that we want to be able to do is say, hey, you know, based on what you want to do over the next few years, or based on your level of experience, education, what have you, your ability to negotiate. You've taken negotiation classes. Oh, great. Well, you know, maybe this will be a better fit for you here versus this here. Do you have your own truck? You know, maybe Swift isn't the spot for you. Maybe Landstar is a better fit. Maybe this company or that company. You know, there's all these things, and so with our continuing education, we believe that we're going to be able to help you guys even more.
Are you an empty nester whose wife wants to get her CDL?
Right.
We definitely have an opportunity for you there right now. By the way,
there's gold in them Nar Hills. Let me tell you.
Yes, there are. Yes,
okay.
Yeah, we'll mention that one. ES Advantage. You know, if you're a husband-wife team, especially, dude, contact us.
Well, it would be Expediter Services, not ES Advantage.
Right. Yeah. What?
Hey, look, man.
I know.
That's great, yo.
But yeah, if you're a husband-wife team, especially, do yourselves a favor and contact us, and we'll see if maybe that's a good fit for you. It's a no nonsense operation, but dang,
Right.
it's lucrative
There, yeah.
over there.
Straight truck expedited gold. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, and Life 19 Wheels. It's all about building relationships over at Landstar. Um, Bob chimed in back on the load board. I think Swift has dropped the ball on the load board. It's not what I want it to
Well,
be.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not what I had hoped for. Because in the beginning, Charlie and I were talking to Brett about, yeah, percentage and this and that. And so the history on that, our feeling, I'm comfortable saying it this way, Charlie, our feeling is Brett Stewart really wanted it to be more like a DAT, truckstop.com type thing with percentage and all that stuff.
While you're talking about feelings,
And I think he got to a certain point in the organization and they said, nope, we're not doing that. Brett may be the you got to understand the positions in a company this size. He may be the vice president of the division, but the final decision on a lot of this type of stuff, where you're talking about Swiss money, is at the board level. You know, he makes his pitch to the board, and they say yes or no. And what we've seen, and it's not just at Swift, it's at any of the old carriers, okay, the ones that have been around for 50 years or more. It's really tough to get them to change how they do things, um, especially in a publicly traded company. And this is publicly traded companies anywhere, guys. Those of you that have studied stock markets and business at that level, trying to get a board of directors to change something that's been working for 50 years, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old guard in these companies. So then you, as the one or two truck operating company, you have to decide for yourself, hey, is this working? Is it working for me and my company, my employees, what have you? I realize that most of us are single truck operators, but there's a few small fleet owners out there. You've got to decide if what's going on right now still meets your criteria. So you got to consistently be reevaluating. Charlie and I do this a lot. We generally bounce it between each other. Hey, I'm looking at this, and now I've got Colton Lawrence, the trucker CFO, in my corner. And just last month, I was looking at making a change. I think we talked about that a little bit. And Colton, I think he got his pocket protector out and got his slide rule and all that old school on me. Yeah. And we went over hard numbers, and I was like, oh, well, that's a tougher decision than I thought, Colton. He's like, that's my job.
Right. Exactly. Mike Ford said they got to please the shareholders. Sorry, just
absolutely.
Get back to
that. And I don't blame them. I don't hate Brett or Swift or anybody, really. Well, I have hate for one person, but that's personal. So, all of us are in business to make money, and that money is earned to do whatever we want with. It's just that Swift has more zeros in their money than we do. But it's the same. It really is. We all do what's best for our business.
I see.
I see a couple stars up there. What are we doing?
So Nick Earl had mentioned that he had ES Advantage was good for me, but I got a better discount through Fleet One because I got it through TA and Petro and Patio, but he corrected it Petro. No, hey, look, we're not saying the ES card is the only card. Please don't ever take it that way. We're saying get every tool in your toolbox that you could use to your advantage.
And to be clear, what we were talking about earlier was them as a carrier. Well, they're not a carrier. If you call us and ask us about it, we'll explain. It's a little convoluted. But the fuel card is only one of many things they do. And one of the things they do is they lease trucks. and they hook you up with a carrier
Right.
within the expedited
Niche.
niche of truck driving,
I just wanted to say that word.
and send you out. And it's a really good opportunity if you can work it.
Yeah. See, look, Nick, I had 5 cards. Exactly. Whichever one gets you the best price on fuel that day, that trip, what have you, that is the
Hey,
one you should be using.
so I saw some stuff on the Facebooks this week.
Facebooks.
Any of you, Charlie and I, we know better, so don't start. Oh, you guys, but neither one of us have ever actually used Mudflap.
Right.
So I know that some of you guys do, though. Have you seen less of a discount with them than you're used to? Because I've been seeing some buzz about that on several groups on Facebook that Mudflap was having issues with not getting very good discounts right now.
I know they've been trying to expand their network ever since they started, and from what I hear, they are expanding out because they were when we first got turned on to them, it was really kind of a Northeast thing, and since I didn't run the Northeast, it just never honestly interested me. I had the ES card and the com data where I could do weird things with that and get some pretty amazing deals without having to tap a credit card and put that on the Mudflap account and all that. Is it's just more work that I didn't want to do. Could I have gotten a couple of better discounts? Absolutely, in very few situations at the time. I have not revisited it. I haven't looked at what their recent offerings are. Nick said, yeah, Mudflap ain't it.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's, look, every tool, I'm not saying don't use it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that there are times when you use one versus the other. I mean, I use Comdata a lot down here in the Southeast because I run QTs down here in the Southeast, and they are pretty amazing. They run neck and neck with the ES card, and guess what? It's not coming off of you know what I mean? I don't know. It just comes right on my settlement, less hassle or whatever. I know it's weird.
Right.
Sometimes I'm willing to pay a convenience fee. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and let's be real, life happens. Sometimes you have a maintenance issue, so the truck is down, and you need that money that you would have put on your ES Advantage card to pay a bill. So you go back to other tools, right?
Hey, and Nick, it's all good. We get it. Nick said, I misunderstood what you were talking about ES. That's my bad. No, you're good.
Yeah.
It
gets confusing because they do so many things, and every time we talk to them, we learn about a new thing.
2 separate businesses within the one umbrella: ES Advantage.
Right.
ES there's an ES company, and they do some trucking stuff, and then the services provider is the ES Advantage side. So yeah, it's a weird marriage. It's amazing. I want to go back to some of this stuff we set aside. So Mike Henderson, does Swift have a real freight problem? Every load a Transmix driver pulls, that's 2 loads US driver used to do. Before the new FMCSA Transmix had less than 500 drivers. Now they have more than 300. There's some follow-up to that. Then in the interview you guys did with the big boss, with Adam Miller and Jim Fitzsimmons, they said that every time they give a load to Swift Logistics, they have to give them a Swift load back to get their trailer back. I think they try to do that. It's not every load, but splitting hairs. I get it. Right. No, there's something to all that. I can't argue it.
But I will bring it back to Swift is there to make money. However they do that.
Right.
I mean, their business absolutely affects our business. But if you can understand what I'm about to say, I don't know. I have a hard time understanding myself sometimes. Their business is none of ours. Right? If they do things that negatively impact my business, I've got to decide if the relationship is worth continuing.
Right.
That's as far as it goes. I trust me, Charlie and I have tried to get them to change some things. And how often were we successful, Charlie? I think there was one time we were able to have an input on pay rates once in 17 years.
I got the drug policy changed.
Right. You got the drug policy changed.
I got the PC policy put in place. Sorry for that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I created a stink a few years back. That's what got me set on fire in the socials.
Oh, you got them to stop bugging owner operators about carrying in their trucks.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. That was a good one.
Yeah, constitutional.
But I mean that there's a lot of things that we argue for and fight for and things like that. And I don't know that argue and fight are the right words, but maybe they are.
Well, we bring the concerns that we see you guys having to
Right.
them,
And the
see if we
more
can't resolve it.
the more people we see having the same issues, the more ammunition we have to go to them with. So
Right.
by all means, I mean, we're not saying don't complain or you know what
No,
I would
actually
ask,
complain,
yeah,
please.
and what I would ask is that when you see a problem, try to provide a solution.
Mhm.
I tell you right now, you send Jim
Well,
Fitzsimmons an email and say, "Hey, there is this problem, and here's a couple of possible solutions. Maybe we can work on this."
right.
He's far more apt to actually do it.
I did that twice this week, Charlie, so I have stories.
Nice.
So one was to Tillman because someone posted that stupid message about the physicals again.
Right.
They got from their terminal, and I took a snapshot of that and I sent it to Tillman. I said, David, this is why this argument keeps coming up, is because these messages are going to owner operator trucks telling them they have to go to a certified drive doctor. Now, you told us that that's not the case. So let's get that word out there. That the solution is to stop sending these messages. Have a separate message for owner operators. So, that's how you handle it with these people. There's a problem. I have a solution. This empty thing, I still disagree with not getting paid empty miles on the load board. However, to protect the carrier that actually pays for my house, I told Jerry, this is the problem. People are going to have issues with this. People are going to say they didn't know. The solution is an addendum, or at least some sort of EULA that we have to click that we understand before we can use the load board. Something that says no empty miles. That's the solution. Get these guys a solution. And that way, in a year, when things go wrong, sideways, whatever, you can say, I told you. I even told you how to fix it.
Right.
Got one from Christopher Davis up there about the fuel card. Want to do that one?
Pop it.
Christopher Davis says, I need to get our fuel card funded, but should we wait to get the new card they are coming out with? You can if you want to. I wouldn't, because as a matter of fact, I have to get that sorted. I got my new card here the other day. I still need to activate it because they can move your money off the old card onto the new card with just a phone call.
Or you could just use up your old card. Either way.
I'm just going to transfer the money.
Right.
But yeah, either way, the reason to not wait is so that you get that discount now this week and start getting it fully funded.
I'm coming to you, Blackbeard, here in a minute. There was something else I wanted to say before that. Nicholas Girl. So here's a question: would you rather have this load board or no load board? It's a tool. I'd rather have this one than none.
Right.
Because it is a tool and it can get you out of some crappy spots when you might not be able to do otherwise.
Well, just today they offered me a
load.
They offered me a load coming out of home time going up to Lacey, Washington. Guess which state you have to drive through to get to Lacey, Washington, Charlie? Oregon. And I don't do Oregon anymore. That's one of the few things that I'll put my foot down about these days. So I said no to that one. Then I said, well, let's go see what's going on the load board. Oh, there's a load that picks up Thursday going to Dallas. We'll do that one.
Right.
That gets you far enough away from the Northwest that I probably don't have to worry about it. So
Blackbeard. Safety department isn't accepting outside medical. That's where the problem is. That is not true.
They just did last week. Mine.
It's just not true. There are some people within the system who are mistaken. And when you run into those people, we have a source to go to, David_Tillman at swifttrans.com. The vice president of safety and training and stuff for Knight Swift Holdings.
Yep.
He has openly told us that that is not the case, period. The only reason that you have to use the Certa Drive stuff is if you are coming in and just initially signing a lease with Swift. If you leave Swift and come back a month later, guess what? You're reapplying. You have to go back to that system again.
That's right.
But if
once you're in,
once you're in, you use your doctor, as long as they are FMCSA certified on the registry.
Yep. Yeah, I just did mine last week and it went through just fine.
Mike Henderson said, I really didn't like giving ES all my info for a prepaid card. I don't
know what info is weird to give. I mean, it's just your business info.
And Greg Spears asked, what's the difference with the new card? Security. It's a new card-based system that they got built, and there's a lot more security built into it. They were having some
there's
problems.
More security. And so here again, what's your goal for the next 5-10 years? If you want to build a small fleet, it is a fleet program card, whereas the other one was not.
Right.
So you just add cards and users to your existing account. You set your spending limits, and off to the races you go.
Yep.
You get your driver their card, and you can turn it on, turn it off. When they end up seeking other opportunities, as we like to say, you can just turn that card off. You don't have to worry about them ripping you off.
Right. Blackbeard said my OOC had to fight with safety for 3 owners. She told me. Blackbeard, send your OOC David Tillman's contact information. Problem solved.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it just shouldn't be a thing. You can actually sign up. Blackbeard asked, when are we getting the new card? You have to go in and reapply for the card, and they'll send you the new one. So it's not even going to affect your old card. Once you've transferred the money out or used the money out on your old card, you can then kill the old card. The new card isn't going to automatically kill the old card.
Right.
And you will have to make the transfer or use up the money. It's your discretion.
Yeah. To make it easy, if you go on the private Facebook group and you just click the link for the card, the application that now shows up is the application for the new card.
Right.
You know, I had to go in and fill it out again, just like everyone else.
No referral bonuses. We asked them. They're not going to give you that $35 or whatever or anything. So,
right.
That was a thought. Hey, look, it was a legit thing.
Yeah. The things you have to think about because of the world we live in, Charlie.
Right. I know. It's crazy. And hey, look, they're not illegitimate thoughts. I mean, They are legit questions, and they had an answer ready for it. Just saying. Jeffrey said that on our show just a few weeks back.
Yep.
I don't even know where it was. Oh, that was on October 3rd. There you go.
Yep.
October 3rd, we talked about all that on the fuel card, what the new card is, why it's being put in, and all that sort of stuff. So there.
Yeah.
I had to scroll back on the screen. You like that?
Going back to our carrier discussion, I think Life on 18 Worlds is talking about Landstar because that's who we were talking about earlier, but it's all about building relationships over there.
Yeah.
And it's that way at every carrier. That's the thing. The stuff that Charlie and I try and teach, we got to stop saying things like that. The stuff Charlie and I teach, right, is universal, man. You could take what you learned from us, what you learned at Swift, and go to any other carrier and take those same principles and build a business there.
Right. And do well.
You can go get your own numbers, and you've learned from us. We hope building relationships is the key to business. So when you go out there and get your own numbers, you start building relationships with these brokers. whether it's DAT, truckstop.com, whatever service you decide that you're going to go with. If you're going to go out on your own, by the way, I recommend subscribing to more than one so that you have a good base of customers there. But yeah, relationship building. That is what business is built on, no matter where you go.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. But yeah, so I mean, it all just comes back to, looking at your taking into consideration all of the things that you need to when looking at a new carrier. It's not just that, what trucking company pays me the most for owner operators. It there's just so much more involved. And if you have questions, by all means, hit us up. Let's talk about it. I mean, let's brainstorm together. Let's get a thread going on the Facebooks. Let's get comments going down below, down here. If you're watching this on replay, don't forget to sub. Just saying, helps us out. But yeah, drop your questions down in the comments and let's get a discussion going there. I mean, we all have something to gain from that. So, Truck Smarter is free. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm looking it up.
Mike Henderson said, I hate Oregon road tax. I'm from Washington. I can take loads up there to see family because of how much it costs to drive through Oregon. Like, I know, man. I just hate that myself. Fuel surcharge. We put that up at the beginning. Here, I'll put it again for you here, Blackbeard. Gotta scroll up. My bad. There it is right there. Across the bottom. 0.532 for the Swift folks. Your standard OTR band fuel surcharge is 0.532. West Coast fuel surcharge is 0.17. So there you go.
So the Truck Smarter load board is 100% free for us. So I want to talk about that just a little bit, because as business people, as entrepreneurs, we need to understand business. Nothing is free. Let me say that again. Nothing is free. So when you look at load boards like this, and I'll probably check this out more because, I have the paid for truck and all that jazz. Someone's paying for that. My guess is the brokers are paying a fee to be on there. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to get that out of you or their customer, or they're going to get that out of the load, which means they're going to pay you less at the line haul. So, I would be interested to know, who was it that made it? Nicholas Earl. I would be interested to know if you've actually used that and how it went for you, because that's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Right.
Because, I looked at, when I was looking at going out and getting my own numbers in 21, I was looking at DAT and truckstop.com as my two primary sources of freight. And between the two, I was looking at about $300 a month in subscription fees, because I wanted not the basic tier, but the tiers that actually gave me some data.
Right.
Yeah. If you guys are going to go out there with your own numbers, please do yourself a favor and pay for data. Okay. Get those rates and lanes reports, get that stuff, because it'll help you decide on.
BJ's Trucking says, so they spent all that time and money on this thing, and now nobody's going to use it unless they have a load within 25 or 30 miles or where they empty. Brilliant. Well, again, it could get you out of a bad situation sometimes. And, to do that, look, I've repositioned myself over 600 miles before to get into a better freight market. If I can pull a load out of there and eat 100 miles deadhead to get me the extra 500 miles paid, I'll take that. I mean, it's a decision you got to make on those situations. Nick said that he used it for 6 months before he stopped self-dispatching, made 65 to 9K a week off that load board.
Okay.
So, those are things, man. I mean, these are all things to be considering.
And this is what we love about the community that we're building is.
Right.
Would you have known that, Charlie, if Nicholas wasn't here talking? No.
I never even would have heard of it.
And, you guys, some of you guys may have listened to that because you're driving, so you're not watching. And you're going to come back after your shift, right? And you're going to look that up and say, what was that load board that Nicholas guy was talking about? Maybe you start thinking about something for the next move.
At about an hour in the show, just save you time.
If Charlie makes it. You're drooping. You're
Oh,
starting to droop.
this chair is not helping me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the private message, but yeah, I got one coming. Uh, it takes money to make money.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Exclusively, I could find the same load on DAT for the same exact price. Okay. They're making money somewhere. I wonder where it is. What Charlie and I are always interested in how these companies make money. Like with ES Success in Trucking, we spent a lot of time talking to their vice presidents and their president about how they make their money, because they're really not making money off the backs of drivers at all.
right.
They're making it from carriers and this and that. They make really good money doing what they do, we found out, but it's not by taking money away from owner operators. It's really quite hard to understand at first, but it works.
Right. Nick said, I'm sure the brokers paid a fee to put the loads on there. And I would bet that is exactly where the money is made, or who pays for what. I mean, it's just, maybe there's advertising in there as well that's built in that, feeds you ads or something. I don't know. I haven't seen it. You could elaborate more on that if you'd like. There's lots of different ways for folks to make money. Jeff and I have been learning about different ways to make money through, various avenues. I mean, just, we're always looking for other stuff. I mean, let's just be real. You're not in business not to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not making money, you have a hobby.
Right. Well, and what Charlie and I what our passion is trying, like we discussed last week, trying to build that bridge over the potholes that we had to get ourselves out of. And we want to reach as many people as we can with this stuff. So we've been educating ourselves on how to do that these last couple of weeks, building some things that will release to the private the subscription service first.
Jeff has been on an absolute learning kick lately.
By the way, guys, if you're already a paid subscriber of the Mighty Network, the community that we built, pay attention to it, because there's going to be some changes coming to that in the next few months.
Yeah, so we apologize for the lack of activity there. We realized that we had to do some more learning and some more stuff, and we are aware of it, and we do appreciate you guys hanging in there.
Right.
And I think you'll see something pleasant later on.
I'll just put it out there, Charlie, because I want to give these guys, man, these are our real friends, Charlie, that invested in us early. And we absolutely could not have done what we've done in the last few months without your support, guys.
Right.
And so there's going to be another little something for you that we're going to announce on the Mighty Network itself in December. And I think you'll be happy with that. And we hope to see you there well into the future.
Right.
And then we're going to be changing some things around, different offerings, courses, and things like that. So Jeff Reese, when he's on, always has those paintings that his daughters did. So I want to do something real quick here.
Oh, here we go.
Because I got myself a GoPro camera, so I can do this now. I can show you my house a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
So
gonna see a skeleton.
Oh no.
He broke it.
It disconnected.
He disconnected the camera.
But you can see the still. You can see the still, and you can still hear me, right?
Yep.
There we go. We're back up. I just got to not jiggle the USB cord. So my wife is an artist, and she did that one.
She's crafty.
The big one in the middle is hers. She did that.
That's a temple.
After we were married. Yeah, that's an LDS temple. That's where we were married.
Nice.
And I don't know if you can see that one. I'd have to zoom in.
Nope, I see a peach.
Yeah.
I bet it's not a peach.
It's not a peach. It's a flower.
There you go.
Yeah, my USB cable keeps on cutting off on me.
Hi, Jeff's child sitting on the couch.
That's my daughter, Violet. We call her the burrito.
Burrito.
Because see, there she is. She's a burrito.
Oh, all wrapped up and ready to be.
And then all the way to the back, there's 3 paintings that she did. And again, I apologize. I can't really zoom right now. But
and there's a view of Jeff's.
But
That's
Yeah.
what we look. So when you guys watch this on YouTube, this
Oh,
is what we see on the screen. It's crazy.
yeah.
It's so not what you guys see on the screen. It's a trip.
So that's a little bit of a slice of Jeff's life, at least when I'm home.
Slice of
Kids
life.
and family, and there's a Peter. Peter's
Hi, Peter.
our 11-year-old,
He can't hear me. I don't know why I yelled.
and then of course Donna, she's in there cooking
Hey,
dinner.
Donna.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me that you guys probably didn't already know, and I'm really proud of Donna's art, so I like to show it off. So there you go, guys. A little bit about me, and we'll get back to trucking now. I
Right.
just wanted to do that, Charlie.
Hey, it's all good. Nick Earl said he's at the Boss truck stop in Grand Island. Is there anything more boring? Yeah, not a real
Not a lot there, man.
right. Hey, look, driving with Bob. Looks like Thule.
Tooele.
That's what I said.
Yep. Everybody calls it Thule except for people from here because they want to mess with us.
Chile Relleno.
Chile Relano.
See? Thule. You're welcome. Craig said, hey, Morton family.
Yay.
Oh.
So yeah.
Hey, if you guys got any questions, by all means, throw them up. And if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you throw them down below. See what I did? Up and down. Just saying. Sorry.
So that's interesting, Charlie. I just learned something.
Jeff learned something. You guys just saw it. I'm not sure what he learned. What happened?
When the camera reset itself, it went back to wide angle.
Oh, look at that.
Interesting.
Oh, we can see the temple behind you now.
Yeah.
Oh, so there you go. But yeah, by all means, throw your questions up. If you got anything, you guys will have to forgive me. I've got this massive migraine thing happening. It comes out of my neck back here. It's pretty awesome. And because I'm not in the chair I normally sit in, I can't get the right position, which is making it come in faster and faster. Oh, Matt Nissen had an issue with the shop, and I dropped. Dude, I thought I sent him the information like Friday or something, and I didn't. I just sent it to him today. Phoenix Shop and I are about to come to a verbal dispute. That's, yep.
I would
Go
not
to,
be I would not want to be in any kind of dispute with you, Matt.
right.
I'm just saying.
By all means, use that email address I sent to you, buddy. Tim_Burks at swifttrans.com. He's a good guy. Info on your paid service. You can find out all that sort of stuff right there at contractorscorner.cc. I see Peter peeking.
Yeah.
Peter. That's hard to say. Don't say that fast. It will not come out right. I'm positive of it. I thought it out and it didn't work in my head.
There's weird things with Pete. He's a bit of our special needs kid. He's got really bad ADHD and some other things, and there's times when he just can't not be on the camera, and then there's times when I want him to talk to somebody on the camera,
Right.
and he won't come over.
Right, just completely said, yeah, nope, nope. It's funny. Kids are awesome. I've run two of my 3 grandchildren out of this office already today, and you're like doing a family house tour, and I'm like been the opposite.
Well,
I'm
everybody's
like,
seen
hey,
your
look, here's a grandchild, and then I'm like, today I'm like, I got this migraine. It doesn't do my mood well.
right.
And, oh, God, today's just been a day. It's been weird, man. It was actually pretty good. So yesterday and today, both days, I started my day early in the day because we actually had surprising cool days. Yesterday was like a high of 72. I think we hit 68 today. So I took those opportunities to go out and run the tractor on the property because I have neglected my property for over the last year. Honest to God, haven't mowed it, and it reverted back to wildland. And over the last 2 days, I went through and re-undercut everything. I actually cut a new road in today, a new driveway. Now I need a gate, and I will be able to back a truck and trailer into that property now, Jeff.
Really?
I will have a secure spot for a truck and trailer if I ever need it. Just saying. I cut a brand new path in there today. Just got to put a gate over at that end, and I got a straight, beautiful shot back in through a slightly curved driveway. There was thought put into this slightly curved driveway because you can't look in from the road straight down the driveway to see into the property. Ow, don't do that. That was stupid.
That sounds very tactical.
It was. So yeah,
That's one of the things when I was looking for property here in Utah, I actually found a really nice piece of property, but it was a little too far out because I knew I couldn't get the truck out there.
right.
But I was actually looking at lines of sight at that property.
Right? Look, man. I'm just saying you got to do it. Jim Wall, come on, man. It'll come back to you. If not,
Put it in the chat after.
put it down there in the comments, yo. We will get to you, Jim. I promise.
Charlie's a lot better at checking those after the show than I am. And
You know who's been really helpful there
Donna
lately?
is really good, better than
Honest
Charlie.
to God, Donna has been really good about checking that. So thank you, Donna. I know you're listening, so thank you very much.
She lets us know if there's something that's like, hey, you might want to answer this one.
Right? She's like, you jerk faces, get on there. What's wrong with you? Jim Wall said he was going to ask something tonight, but now he's at home and it's gone. I understand that completely. Yeah, like the last few months have been like that in my head. So I get it. Yeah, please, by all means, if you got anything else, please throw those questions up there so that I don't ramble and talk about crazy nonsensical things like, my polyps. We could talk about my 9 polyps if you guys would like. I really need to get those pictures. I think you guys would enjoy those.
Does anybody really want to see those pictures? I do not want to see those pictures.
I think at least one person does.
I got to eat dinner after this.
I'm going to say at least one person wants to see them.
Peter, do you want to see pictures of Charlie's butt?
Not my butt. Gosh, you put it like that, and of course he doesn't want to see it. Man.
His insides?
The inner workings of the digestive tract.
Mm.
I was cutting a branch today, and I had I was cutting a tree. Actually, cut a tree down because I went Paul Bunyan today. I had several. And I was looking up, and I was watching this thing, and when it broke free, it apparently hit something just backwards out of my view, and a freaking branch came down and smacked me in the lip, and I was like, geez, man, that sucked. I really thought I was gonna have like this big blathering, wobbling fat lip. It was numb for like an hour. My bottom lip was completely numb, just dead numb, and it never swelled up. Or did it? Can you tell? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyhow, see, look, Blackbeard wants to see my polyps.
Yeah, but Blackbeard's weird, man.
I like it. Thank you. Life on 18 Wheels asked if we could talk about the lawsuit that we mentioned earlier. The lawsuit that happened was a reclassification lawsuit that happened due to an individual who started it in Oregon. He was an Oregon driver, filed against wage and labor something or other. I can't remember how exactly it was worded. Basically, he was saying that the contract was null and void and that he was treated as a company driver. Knight Swift, I should actually say, settled that lawsuit for $100 million, and it took well over 15 years for that suit to go through. And the guy that filed the suit actually died prior to ever seeing a penny of that. His family made out pretty good monetarily. I apologize. I didn't mean to sound crass like that, but his family that the lawyers cleaned up.
Oh yeah, the lawyers took 45% of that. That was what it was on the final docket.
It was gnarly. Victor said, "What are your plans for the holidays? Which holidays are you speaking of, man? God, those are so far away from me right now. It's crazy. I know I'm a terrible person.
I'll take my normal 2-week vacation.
Right, Jeff's gonna be off for the Lord's birthday.
And I always tell people, you know my thing, Charlie. I'm going to say it. There's only 2 holidays I actually care about: the birth of my nation and the birth of my Lord. Those
there you
are the
go.
2 I care about, and I'm always home for the 4th of July and Christmas.
So there you go. You can count on those, by the way. He as long as I've known him.
Yeah, the only time I ever missed Christmas was that year where Swift bribed us all.
Oh yeah,
with that like $1,800 bonus for staying out.
Right. So, okay, wait, you're going to love this. So that year, they said you had to be available for dispatch and run at least 1 load. But you had to be available for this period.
31-day period, yep.
Right? I was available the whole time. I worked like a week out of the whole month. Got the bonus. Not my fault. I was there and available. I was literally ready to go run a load if they said, "Hey, we got a load." I would have went and ran it. You know what I mean? But they never sent me a load, so I figured it wasn't a thing. It was a pretty good deal for me. I'm not gonna lie. Life on 18 wheels. What changes did Swift make after the suit? They part of the claim was it was predatory leasing standards and these other things, and there was quite a bit of changes that happened. A lot of the contract changed, the wording in the contract changed to make it a little less
ambiguous.
It's still a very one-sided contract because most contracts are. It's to the benefit of the person writing the contract. Let's just be real and open about that. But there was a lot of fixes made, and that's what I have to say about that right now.
Yeah, I'll say that. So I started as an owner operator in 07, and I never felt like it was a raw deal. There, obviously, any contract is gonna benefit the party with the better players, right? That's just the way contract law works. I was always comfortable with the contract, even back then.
Right.
Some of the changes they made were just verbiage. It made it much more clear that we do not work for them.
Right.
That it was, it was you are a contractor, not an employee. That verbiage didn't used to be in there. Little things like that is what were really changed. I mean, the bottom line
that we have to agree to.
The bottom line to me, and this is 100% Jeff talking, not even Charlie talking, just me. This lawsuit was a guy that failed as a business owner. What's the matter?
I was letting you talk for me.
Oh. This was a business owner that failed in his business and decided to blame someone else. That's what
agree.
this was.
I'm jumping on the Jeff bandwagon on that one.
People go out of business all the time. This is a tough business. That doesn't mean it was Swift's fault, right? Maybe it wasn't even your fault. If you guys read the article I wrote today that I posted everywhere under the sun, it was titled, turning in your truck. Let's talk about why. Why are you turning in your truck? Because we've been seeing a lot of that, even in our private group. Guys are leaving, and it's like it hurts my heart and it hurts Charlie's heart to see this happen. Because one of the things is that we don't understand sometimes. We're doing okay. Why aren't you? What is it that we're doing that you're not doing to make us successful and you not? And we can absolutely go over that with you within the groups that we've set up. But I've come close a couple times. Charlie knows. That 2012 truck. I came real close a couple times. At not a single point did I blame Swift for any of it. And you know what else I did? I figured out a way out of it to stay in business.
I thought you got on Facebook and complained about it.
No.
Oh, my bad.
What I did do, though, is I talked to IEL and got my butt out of that lease that was killing me and into a new truck, the truck I own today, because it was a maintenance issue. Y'all know my story. It was almost $30,000 in maintenance in 1 year on a truck that I hadn't even paid off yet. It was brutal. So I figured out a way to stay in business. Donna will tell you that but for the grace of God, type of thing. We don't know how we kept our house that year, but we did. There was a lot of asking friends and family for help, ask church for help, stuff like that. But again, relationships, right, Charlie? I have a story. I used to work in white collar, as you all know, for the phone company, doing sales and all that stuff. And we used to, my coworkers and I used to go for walks in downtown Portland every day before it became what it is today. So panhandlers have always been a thing in every downtown area. You all know that. And we were walking, and I usually just say, I just don't have anything today. I'm nice about it. But this young woman stood up and said, this could be you someday.
Right.
And something clicked in my brain. And I turned around and I said, you know what? No, it couldn't be. And here's why. I have not burned every single bridge of every single person that would help me if I was down and out. I have couches to sleep on. I have family. You know, it just kind of bothered me, and I've carried that with me for years. You know, don't burn a bridge unless it's one of those things where, and Charley knows that I'll support someone. You know, if you're there's bridges that need to be burned, absolutely right, Charley.
Oh yeah.
Abusive relationships, someone stole from you, something of that magnitude. But don't burn all your bridges. Keep the
Alexia.
relationships. Keep the relationships
My bad.
keep the relationships and grow new ones. And that's how you're successful. You'll have people that'll come out of the woodwork to help you out when times get really tough, whether it's education or if you're really down and out. Like I say, I've got couches I could sleep on.
Right. Relationships and community.
That's right.
Hey, I got something I wanted to talk about, Jeff, that I forgot I wanted to talk about.
Let's do this real quick first.
Okay.
James Vaughn. Is that how AB5 came about? It is actually. AB5 was a direct result of that lawsuit and the one against
Yeah, there was a couple of lawsuits.
yeah, the two really big ones were the one against Swift and the one against CR England.
And there were many, many smaller ones that just added fuel to the fire.
Yep. So what does government do, especially in election year? I'm going to help you guys out.
Right.
We get AB5 as a
Let
result.
me throw some regulation and stuff at you. So
and Mike, yeah, you had to have been active as a Swift owner operator during a certain amount of time to qualify for any payouts on that one. And some people did, some people didn't.
yeah, there was some weird math that they did too. It was weird calculus, but
some people that don't even work for Swift anymore made out with like 50 grand. Right? You know? I don't know.
So there was. I spoke to someone this week. I'm not going to name names. I did tell the individual that I would probably be talking about the story. I can tell you that in the end, as of right this moment, they have dodged the biggest bullet to their business that they could have dodged. I didn't tell Jeff about this yet. A contractor with his own Garmin camera was driving in the fast lane on a 3-lane interstate with a 2-second following distance. The individual in front of them was a state DOT type truck, and traffic came to a very abrupt stop. I can tell you, based on what I saw in the video, that had that following distance been 2.5 seconds, which is still not enough, they would not have hit the truck in front of them, which they did, in fact, do. Tapped them enough that it created an issue. It's a rear end accident. And because our contractor had to jam the brakes on so hard, 3 vehicles behind him were now involved in an accident. One of them slamming into him, one of them dodging around him into the wall between his trailer and the wall, and a third vehicle becoming involved in all of this. Now, those 3 people clearly themselves were also following too closely, but I'm going to say something that may not be a very popular opinion. Had that driver had a safe following distance, let's say 4 seconds, 3.9 is what my cruise control keeps me at, and I've never not been able to stop within that time on good roads, clear weather, things like that. Even in the rain, I'm not going to lie. That our driver would not have had to hit the brakes so hard. The people behind them would have had more time to react and slow down as well. And our contractor was then tagged with a violation of following too closely. This, by Swift standards, should have been a business ender. This would have been a contract termination. I am amazed that it didn't happen, and I am thankful for this individual that it didn't happen. You know, look, as of today, there's a resolution. The individual says that they came to a resolution and they're working it out, and contract's not going to get terminated. So great. No damage was done to the DOT vehicle in front, but there was some minor damage to the contractor's truck on the front, some minor damage to the bumper of the trailer, and quite a bit of damage to other vehicles. All vehicles were able to drive away and be okay. No injuries, anything like that. But the contractor knows, I believe, that he was too close. Several things happened in this, and one of the things that I stated to the individual is, when you speak to safety about this, you had better understand what you did, how not to have this happen again, and be remorseful and understanding of the situation. That is your only hope that I can see, that your contract may not be terminated, right? I'm not saying, okay, I'm going to say something, but I don't want you to take it the wrong way. He sent the video to Swift showing the 2-second following distance in the fast lane in this state. I get it. Trying to be transparent and open, probably not the best move. Seems to have worked out as of right now, but I'm just saying. So, you guys, 2 seconds, let's be real. It's just not enough. The roads looked clear to me. They looked dry. Could not stop. Barely. I mean, it was just a dunk, right? Just a little ding in the bumper on that, and didn't even ding the bumper because it was a steel bumper on the back of that DOT vehicle. But you guys, seriously, we can't do this. This is, and I'm gonna say that the individual kept saying things, and this goes back to our attitude and perspective part from last week, and we've talked about it a little bit tonight. Kept saying things like, God, I'm going to lose my job over this, aren't I? No, you are going to lose your business.
Right.
A rear end accident in today's market is going to open you up to garbage, especially when it's 100% preventable and you're following too closely. So I believe the individual learned a valuable lesson from this. I truly believe that. And, you know, the fear of whatever you want to call it, the fear of God or whatever, over losing a business was put into effect this week.
Yep.
This weekend. And thankfully for that individual. Yeah. And you know, Craig, that very well could be a thing. I need to reach out to the individual and find out what there was some things that were going to be worked out. And Craig said, I'm almost certain he'll be getting a smart drive camera. And that's a very real possibility, because they're going to want to see corrective action. Right.
Right. Absolutely.
And
I'll just say that, you know, if that one thing, putting one of their cameras in your truck, saves your business,
by all means,
keep your nose clean for as long as it needs to be clean.
Right.
Change your behavior, and then you can be free again. I think that's a good compromise.
Hopefully, yeah. And hopefully with a better understanding of what really went down and what could have gone down. I mean, let's be real. I mean, this could have been a tragic, horrible thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can tell you that 2 seconds from what I saw in the video, I can tell you, had I been in that situation in a 2-second following distance in my older truck, Chewy, I think I would have smashed the crap out of that truck.
Right.
The technology saved this individual, saved everybody involved, if you ask me. So don't stop taking these things for granted, you guys. Don't get in such a damn hurry. It's just not that tragic. There's no reason. 2 seconds, I believe everybody out here can agree. And if there's anyone willing to state that 2 seconds is a safe following distance in a commercial semi truck, please feel free to put that in a comment or put it in the chat now. We can discuss it. I will fight you on this to the bitter end. I believe we can all agree that 2 seconds is not enough.
Yeah.
And it was The entire length of the video was a 2-second following distance because I started counting. Immediately when I saw the video, I didn't even know what had happened yet. Just that, there was an accident. And as soon as I watched the video, I'm like, oh crap, that looks close. 1,000, two. Oh crap, 1,000. Oh no. Oh, bam, there it was. I thought, dang it, man. It's just not a good situation. Don't put yourself in that situation. It's just not needed. And I believe what it was is the far left lane was moving faster than the two right lanes. Not greatly, but moving faster. And I'm willing to bet that, the individual thought, well, I'm in the fast lane. I better speed it up a little bit, right? While not maintaining that gap.
Right.
And it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to you, other people's lives, and your business. We talk about business, so let's look at it from that standpoint. It's not worth it to your business. Right. And you cannot, Blackbeard said, that's right. You can't effectively draft at 2 seconds. You can't. You're right. That's not close enough. You need to be a millisecond off of a bumper. And even then, come on, let's be real. I've done some crazy things as a kid.
Yeah, Mythbusters actually did an experiment at the Freightliner Proving Grounds in Oregon about that, how close you have to be to draft. It's scary close.
My brother and I did it with our Jeeps, and he hated me for it because every time I did it to him, I would get to the point where I actually got the draft where it sucked me in, and I would tap his bumper, and he could watch his gas gauge go down. He had it was a 98 Jeep Wrangler. Whichever year they put the coils in the first year they put coils in the front end. Anyhow, we both had identical, except his was a 6-cylinder, mine was a 4-cylinder, right? And we would be driving like to Raleigh or something from Sanford, North Carolina, to go to a concert or something, and I would draft him, and he, God, hated it because every time you would get that, and it would tap his bumper, and I would stay on his bumper, and God, his gas gauge would just start dropping. Both Jeeps off the line, we were dead neck and neck until we hit 50 miles an hour. And then he would still have more to go. And that's where he'd start pulling away from me. But from 0 to 50, we were dead on. After that, so I just drop in, boop, and he'd pull me along. Oh, God, it pissed him off every single time. So we totally learned how to do that in the military. I'm not going to lie, because we used to run these weird things where we were running some odd details where we literally were not allowed to let anyone between our vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driving Mitsubishi Pajeros, which is the South American version of the Montero. And those things would draft the hell out of each other. It was amazing. Like the guy in the front just got no fuel mileage at all. Just none. And we would attach. I mean, you would draft up bumper to bumper, but not safe. And we were highly trained at the time. I would not recommend that ever in a big rig.
Nope.
You're going to die. You're going to kill somebody. Don't do it. Exactly. It's not worth your life or anyone else's. So that's the end of my soapbox. We're at an hour and 43. If you guys got more to say, if anyone wants to argue with me and say that, 2 seconds is adequate, then let's fight.
James Vaughn says, I saw a report saying freight market not going to improve until 2025.
Where was that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because you read 3 different articles from 3 different analysts, and they'll give you 10 different answers.
Right.
It's nobody knows, man. That's what's so weird about it. And to me, frustrating because I sometimes get numbers wrong when I'm doing it quick on the napkin math. But it bugs me to not have good analytics, man.
Right.
We pay attention to the DAT guys and their analysts, which are pretty much the best in the business, by the way. If you guys are interested,
yeah,
in
they got more
thing.
data than
right.
anybody that I know. They are like the internet on that data.
Right, but even they're like, we just don't know. Every time they think they know, the next week on their live show, which they do their live shows every Tuesday at what 10 a.m. my time, something like that.
Right.
It's in the morning anyway, and they're just like, yeah, we thought that this was going to happen, but the numbers changed this week, so this is the new analytics.
Hey, you know, we put the fuel surcharge up earlier, but we didn't actually talk about fuel. Let's do that real quick before we wrap the show. What do you say?
Yeah,
Jeff?
fuel's on the way down. Yeah.
Let me throw that up and get that up on the big screen. So the U.S. national average went down 5.5 cents this week, you guys. Went down from 4.498 to 4.444. That's about 5.5 cents.
That
just
feels like a fake
cents.
number.
I know, right?
It's the Illuminati. That's what's causing all this.
That's what it was. And the West Coast Pad 5 went down 7 cents this week from 560 to 552.8. That differential was about $1.08 difference between the Pad 5 and the national average, and that's how we ended up with that 17-cent West Coast fuel surcharge for the Swift folks out there on their contract. So yeah, I just wanted you to see that what's going on. And by the way, we're still 89.5 cents lower than we were a year ago today.
Right.
In fact, we're lower on all markets than we were a year ago today. So just wanted to make sure that was put up there for the day and that everybody saw it. And, you know, you can't say that I didn't do it because people will do that. They'll be like, bro, why didn't you do this week? And I'm like, whatever.
Oh man, James. So you're listening to the Chinese now.
James.
Dear, I need my tinfoil hat.
TikTok. Let's find a reputable source, sir.
Yeah, if you know which the TikTok user is he like a market analyst? Is he in the professions, or is he just some dude on TikTok? Because you know, I pay attention to Instagram. I haven't gotten into TikTok yet, Charlie. I'm
Right.
kind of torn on that one. But you know, there's people that absolutely have great information out there. Just make sure that the people you're listening to have some bona fides. You know, even Charlie and I will tell you, we're just two jackasses on YouTube. You know,
Right.
A lot when we start talking data, we're talking about what we learned from like freight waves or DAT, stuff like that. You know, we're getting our information from trusted industry sources.
Mike Anderson put up a thing. He said, I watched a documentary on how over 400 U.S. companies are leaving China and moving to Mexico. That is going to change the freight market. Absolutely. Because one of your things earlier, Mike, when you were talking about the freight coming in from Mexico, is those guys pulling that freight are going to be pulling that instead of us getting it out of the ports.
Yep.
So, I mean, that could be a big thing. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I'm pessimistically optimistic. What?
Yeah. So I just want to look at it. If I could switch your target here just a little bit, Mike.
Perspective, maybe.
Think about if you were a Mexican national, and I think what I think I found out that Swift is paying those Transmex guys just under half what a new driver at Swift makes. But imagine what that income means to that dude and his family. You know, it's an interesting thing to think about.
It's a conundrum.
You know, so just something I want to put out there.
Hey James, I would say go to FreightWave and go to FreightWave directly. He said he pulled data from FreightWave. I would go to FreightWaves directly. Just saying, throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'll say that FreightWaves does tend to be a little more bearish on the market than some of the other analysts. But let's remember who FreightWaves is. OIDA. So that's interesting. You got to consider that too. They do have some good data, though. I do enjoy their articles. They make me think. And that's the thing, Charlie. When you read an article and it makes you think, it was a good article.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if you don't agree with their conclusions, it's no secret, you know, where I lean on the political spectrum. But, you know, I read articles from the other side. Why? Because it challenges my perspective and makes me think. That's it. That if that's all that I get from it, that's a good article.
Right. Is it weird that I'm still stuck that I never hit go live earlier?
Oh, you're still stuck on that? I
Yeah,
forgot about that
my
actually.
brain is so broken over that. Like,
Hey, but I got to hit the like button today, guys. I got to do it because yeah.
true story. Drive slow. Gregory Spears says, drive slow, make money off the fuel surcharge. I agree. I'm just saying. James Bond said, Laredo's getting a new rail bridge that just opened, new trade bridge in Laredo with 2 more on the way. Yeah, there's a thing. There's a whole
Ooh.
rail line they're talking about running from the up in the north down.
Oh, okay.
Trucker Tim S, what's going on, man?
Says, hey,
He's
gangster, I'm late to the party. Just got done out from seeing Saw 10 down here in Houston since I don't have a load to pick up until tomorrow. Hope everyone's doing well. Okay. If there's a reason to miss our show, that's a good reason,
Saw
Charlie.
10's probably legit.
And I'm a big fan of the Saw series.
I'm not.
So, I'm a horror fan. What can I tell you? Yeah, I'm looking forward to that coming out on the streaming services because I ain't paying $20 to go see a movie and then another $10 for popcorn. I'm just saying.
Hey, Mike, if you were running the company and you had that opportunity to pay a driver 64 cents or pay 32 cents to get your freight moved, honest to goodness, which would you pay from a business standpoint? I don't want to hear a moral or ethical answer. I want to hear a straight business answer. Is that wrong to say it that way, Jeff? Is there a better
No,
way
but
to
I'm
phrase
gonna
that?
disagree with you because and here's something that people never consider is exchange rates. And that's why I say imagine being those Mexican drivers. At 32 cents a mile, are you kidding me? That's a lot of money for down there.
James could probably chime in on
That's
this.
that's
He's
life.
cross
That's
border dude,
that's changing your family stars type money for them.
James makes
So
U.S. funds, but has a residence in Mexico.
yeah,
And
gets all that.
Mike, look, Mike said, "I get it. I just don't like it." No,
Yeah,
I get it,
that's
man.
fair.
That
That's
is
absolutely fair.
absolutely 100% legitimate, man.
And I'm actually with you on that. It's just that I also understand the business angle that Swift is looking at. And if I was living in Mexico and someone offered me that money, I'd be like, yes,
Right?
please.
Says, "I don't blame the driver. I blame the U.S. companies. I don't blame the U.S. company.
I don't blame anybody. It's just business.
Yeah." Trucker Tim S said, "I'm a Regal Unlimited member. I used to be one of those. I used to go all the time. When Rosie and I were OTR, we used to always find a Regal somewhere and go, and it was amazing because like you pay this monthly fee and you just get to watch all the movies you want." But he said, "I'm a Regal Unlimited member, so I don't pay any extra for tickets. It was good. It takes place between the first and second Saw film." So there you go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I
James
have to
Bond's
watch shows like that when I'm out on the road, Charlie.
right,
That's one of the reasons why I got the bigger monitor and the Bose soundbar is
right.
to watch movies in my truck because if I watched that movie at home, Donna would just kick me out anyway. So
Right. So James Bond said, "You got to think $500 is a lot of money in Mexico a week." I live in he does. He lives in Mexico. So I mean, I don't know, man. It's a fair wage to them. It's better than a fair wage to them, honestly.
yeah, I mean, so if
For the cost of living and all those things factored in.
I do think that part of business is the question of morals and ethics
Yes.
that has to be considered. But what I see a lot of times, it's like the whole thing of some of the third world countries. Oh, they make $1 a day. Well, is that $1 US or is that 1 rupee or whatever it is?
Right.
You got to look at. It's like when we shop for fuel and the less IFTA thing. Yeah, compare apples to apples if you're going to make that moral argument. I'm full of stories today, Charlie. So when I was working
I
for the
dig it.
phone company, we were losing our jobs because they went to India. Okay, that happened here right around 2004, 2005.
Right.
One of the men that I worked with was from India, and he was explaining this to me that you know, his sister was one of the people that got my job basically. And I don't know if you remember back then, they were shooting documentaries of how people in India were literally living in garbage dumps. Like they would dig a hole in the garbage and live in it.
Right.
And his sister's family was one of those. Because of that job that they took from me, she was able to move her husband, and her two kids out of the garbage dump and get an apartment. That's what it meant to them. So, you know, she was making, I think, the equivalent of like $5 a day or something like that, US. But that was enough for them to get out of that situation and actually live a life. Interestingly enough, because this was another part of the conversation, was the thing that they were saving for was Maytag appliances made in the US, not Chinese knockoffs, made in the US. And he was a brilliant guy. He had a master's degree in business, which is kind of like a high school diploma over there. Everybody's got a master's degree in India. But you know, say, you know, so here's the thing. And again, this was 17, 18 years ago when I was talking to him about this stuff. He's like, so people in the United States have a choice to make because we've been used to being a consumer society. All of our jobs had turned over mostly into the service industry. Were we Americans going to go back to work in factories and produce those appliances that the world loves? Or were we going to go on welfare and not work because we lost our cushy office jobs?
Right.
Something to think about. Y'all know what I did. I went and drove truck.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people made the other decision though.
All right. On that note, y'all, we're coming up on our 2-hour mark. We're at hour 56. So last call, quick questions, comments, statements, whatever it is you want to throw out there. If you miss it, put it down there in the comments below and we will dip back into them. As James Bond said, with my pay, I'm called rich in Mexico. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
He's saying that most Mexicans only make about $5 US a day. I mean, there's a thing there. I'm just saying, look, I get it, Mike. I'm not arguing you. Don't get me wrong. But when I look at it from a business point, it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of things that I see in the world. Do I wish that we didn't live in a world that was like that? Yep, but we don't. And so you got to decide how you're going to react to the world the way it really is. If those Chinese companies or the U.S. companies moving out of China into Mexico, they're probably going to be more and more Mexican drivers coming up into the States.
Absolutely.
So maybe we change to our models to final mile type stuff. There's money to be made there. You think about
there's good money to be made in final mile. Let's just be real.
Yeah, and it's not just the JB Hunts that do that. There are owner operators that do final mile.
There's like a whole world right there, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe I heard somewhere that there's I know for a fact there are far more final mile trucks and individuals delivering that final mile than there are OTR.
Makes sense.
Because all of that stuff has to be broke down and delivered to that final customer.
Because we bring in a trailer and what's in that trailer is 10 stores worth of stuff.
Right. So, I mean, it's a thing. And look, there's a revenue avenue there to look at. And it's one of the things I actually want to do some research on.
Yeah. All right. We got 1:20.
All right, guys. So I think we're going to kill it there. I think we're right at the limit. So I do want to say thank you guys for tuning in. It means a great deal to us every week that you guys tune in. You regular folks, seriously, thank you so much. New folks that are coming in, new faces and names. We appreciate you guys. By all means, check out stuff on Contractors Corner. Go to contractorscorner.cc and check out what we got going on over there. You can get links to our videos, to YouTube, to our private community, to the Facebooks, there's links all over the place. Everybody that we talk about, that we like doing business with, Trucker CFO, Seabright Agency for insurance, ES Advantage for fuel cards, and more. You can find links to all those places right there on our website, contractorscorner.cc. And that will take you there. You guys, seriously, we will see you again next week right here at 6 p.m. Eastern, just like you do every Tuesday. I may be on the road, but we'll see. I don't know. I got an interesting few weeks coming up, so we'll see how that plays out. And yeah, you guys be safe. And you know what? Stay tuned. Do me a favor. If you watch the commercial at the end, drop me a comment after the commercial and let me know that you watched the commercial. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate you because I missed them at the beginning. And
what you thought of it too.
Yeah. Tell us what you think of these commercials. Appreciate you. You guys, you be safe.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charley from Contractor's Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
Your business will make you money if you do well at that business. And ES Advantage in trucking, they do really well at providing those services. So the effect that ES has had on our personal trucking operations, not even talking about what we do on the consulting arena, I've been able to save thousands of dollars a year in fuel because of the relationship with them. I have a new accountant that I work with, trucker CFO, that I learned about from ES Advantage.
They're giving you that 10,000 yard kind of support from behind that creates a way for you to succeed, which is one of the things that we love, because anything you can do to help someone succeed is going to help them succeed. They make money by making sure you make money.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.